Because I stopped seeking liberation from existence and started seeking connection with the one who gave me existence. I do not invite you to imitate my path. I only invite you to ask sincerely, to sit with your questions, not in fear, but in humility. Because truth, like water, always flows to the lowest point, to the one who lowers himself in sincerity. And in that low bow I found the highest. The journey of truth is not a betrayal of one path, but the fulfillment of seeking beyond attachment. These words are not just a reflection, but an unfolding reality in the life of every sincere seeker. When we walk any path, spiritual, religious, philosophical, it becomes like a home. We learn its ways. We drink from its well. We absorb its rhythm into our breath, its language into our silence. But there comes a time when the walls of that home no longer contain the questions growing in our hearts. This is not rebellion. This is not disloyalty. This is the pulse of sincerity continuing its course. Truth, after all, was never confined to a single path. It is vast, infinite, and alive, and to seek it fully often requires moving beyond the comfort of our first resting place. The mistake many make is confusing stability with completion. We hold on to forms, teachings, and traditions not always because they still nourish us, but because they've become familiar. Attachment dresses itself as reverence, but at its core, attachment is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of being wrong, fear of judgment, fear that stepping outside one circle means abandoning all we once held sacred. But the journey toward truth does not demand disrespect. It only asks for honesty. If a path once fed your soul, honor it. But if your soul hungers for more, do not let sentiment prevent your next breath of awakening. True seekers do not cling to identity. They cling to sincerity. Their loyalty is not to labels, but to light. They do not betray one path by stepping onto another. They honor it by having walked it with full presence, and then moving forward with grace when the inner compass points to new horizon. The heart knows when it is time. It knows when the teachings have been absorbed, and it is now time to apply them elsewhere. Moving on is not a rejection, it is a continuation. It is not a condemnation, it is an expansion. Every river has a source, and it must flow. If it remains in one place, it becomes stagnant. The soul is the same. It must move, evolve, be challenged, be deepened. What begins as silence may lead to revelation. What begins as solitude may lead to communion. The soul's longing is not static. It pulls us through different seasons, and with each one, we must be ready to shed what no longer fits, not because it was false, but because it was true for that time. Like the leaf that falls, not because it betrayed the tree, but because it fulfilled its purpose. Some may say that changing paths is weakness, but in truth it is one of the greatest forms of courage. It takes strength to ask, is there more? It takes humility to admit, I no longer feel what I once felt. It takes honesty to say, I have grown and my soul calls me forward. Those who walk this journey are not traders. They are travelers. They are those who dare to seek the source, even if it means leaving behind the comfort of tradition. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means remembering in a deeper way. It means carrying the wisdom, the lessons, the discipline, but no longer being bound by the limits. It means being able to say, I have loved this path, I have learned from it, and now I must take the next step. Just as a child grows from crawling to walking, and from walking to running, the seeker matures through stages of realization. None of these are wasted. All are necessary, and each one is sacred. In every stage of the journey we are given signs. Sometimes they come as inner restlessness, other times as external openings or encounters that stir the spirit. The sincere heart listens not only to what is comfortable, but to what is true. And when truth calls, it does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it arrives in unfamiliar words, foreign languages, or strange rituals. But the seeker who is free from attachment recognizes the scent of truth, no matter what form it takes. To move toward deeper understanding is not to insult the past. It is to fulfill it, because the destination of all true paths is not the preservation of identity, but the arrival at truth. And truth is not threatened by movement. It is revealed through it. Just as the mountain appears only when the traveler dares to walk, truth opens itself to the one who does not stop walking, even when the path is unclear. And so, the journey continues not because the past was wrong, but because the soul was made to keep seeking what is right. When the heart is still and the soul seeks sincerely, it recognizes light wherever it shines. This truth is not a mere poetic phrase. It is the living conclusion of every journey walked with humility, honesty, and surrender. In the end, it is not the form that saves us. It is not the robe, the language, or the ritual. It is the purity of intention, the willingness to empty ourselves of pride and attachment, and the courage to follow what is real, even when it takes us beyond the boundaries we once thought were absolute. To recognize light, the eyes must be cleansed of prejudice. To hear truth, the ears must be freed from the noise of ego. And to embrace the path of peace, the heart must be still free from the storms of identity, comparison, and fear. That stillness is not passivity, it is presence, it is awareness, it is the kind of quiet that doesn't numb you, but awakens you to a greater clarity. A clarity that reveals when the soul is being fed, and when it is merely surviving on memories of past nourishment. When I left the path I once called home, it was not because I stopped loving it. It was because I started understanding what love truly meant. Love does not imprison, it liberates. It does not chain you to a place. It sets you free to grow. To accept Islam after years of walking through another path was not an act of rebellion. It was a response to a calling that resonated so deeply, so precisely, that to deny it would be a betrayal not of religion, but of truth itself. In Islam, I found what my years of silence had prepared me to receive, a personal connection with the one who listens, responds, and guides. A surrender not to nothingness, but to the source of all existence, a discipline not rooted in detachment, but in devotion. I found the same stillness, but with purpose, the same silence, but now filled with divine remembrance, the same surrender, but directed toward the one worthy of it. My story is not one of rejection, but of realization. Every path I walked, every breath I took in meditation, every ritual I performed in discipline was a step toward this moment. And I honor it all. The destination did not cancel the journey. It gave it meaning. I had to walk through silence to know the value of the word. I had to dissolve ego to know the beauty of worship. I had to detach from self to find the creator of the self. So, to the seeker still searching, know this: truth does not shout. It whispers to those willing to be still. Light does not belong to one religion, one nation, or one language. It belongs to the one who created it. And those whose hearts are still, whose souls are sincere, they will see it. They will feel it, and when they do, they will not ask whose light it is. They will simply bow in gratitude that they were chosen to witness it. There comes a moment on every sincere path where silence speaks louder than tradition, where inner clarity demands more than comfort, and where the soul, like water, must keep flowing toward truth even if it means letting go of what was once sacred. For many years, I lived a life shaped by Buddhist practice, devotion to stillness, discipline, detachment, and inner observation. I do not speak of it as a stranger. I speak of it with respect, with gratitude, and with a deep knowing. I found peace in its silence, balance in its rituals, and compassion in its teachings. But there came a time when that silence no longer answered the questions echoing deeper inside me. It began not with conflict, but with a quiet restlessness. I had mastered the form, the rituals, the breathing, the fasting, the letting go. But something within me was still seeking not knowledge, not philosophy, not a new way of living, but a voice. A voice that would respond to my heart, not with detachment, but with presence, not with emptiness, but with meaning, not with the idea of self-dissolving, but with the self being seen, known, and guided. The path of Islam did not arrive to me as a religion. It arrived first as a sound, the sound of the Adhan, the call to prayer. It reached me not as a command, but as a remembrance. Something in its rhythm bypassed my intellect and went straight into the space I had tried to quiet for years. And I asked myself a question I had not dared ask in a long time. What if the truth I seek is not only within me, but also above me? I did not leave Buddhism out of rejection. I left because I understood that truth does not belong to one practice. Truth is not contained in silence alone. Sometimes truth calls out, and we must be ready to answer. What moved me toward Islam was not just theology. It was the unity, the oneness, the surrender. In Buddhism, I learned how to let go. In Islam, I learned who to return to. In Buddhism, I trained myself to observe impermanence. In Islam, I found the eternal. I realized I was not merely an empty vessel to be emptied again and again. I was a soul created, known, guided, and loved. The prayer in Islam is not a meditation to observe your breath. It is a conversation with the one who gave you breathe. It is not detachment from the world. It is remembrance while walking through the world. I stood not in lotus position, but bowed in submission. And in that bowing, I found more elevation than in any mountain I had meditated upon. The most beautiful realization was this: accepting Islam was not the end of my discipline, it was the refinement of it. It was not a contradiction to my years of inner practice, it was the answer to them. All the discipline, the silence, the years of watching my thoughts, they were not wasted. They had prepared me, they taught me to listen, and finally I heard, there is no anger in my departure, no bitterness, only peace, a deeper peace, a peace that does not float above suffering but walks through it with divine guidance. A peace that does not deny the existence of a creator, but lives in surrender to him. So why did I leave Buddhism and accept Islam? Because I stopped seeking liberation from existence and started seeking connection with the one who gave me existence.